Hey YouTube, Meef here. Welcome to episode 41 of my FTB Continuum quick tips and tricks. I kind of want to go over some of the basic advanced rocketry stuff. Kind of a cool mod pack. Gets you building rocket parts and whatnot. So a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's go take a look at the basic machines. There is some, I don't want to say issues, but there are some limitations to what you can do before you get all this stuff set up. So let's take a look at better questing. I'm going to the final frontier, and you can see I've got these basic machines already built. So it's the lathe. This arc furnace is already built. You probably should have used that already. This one's really not that difficult to manage. So we've got the crystallizer, we've got some precision assembler, and then we've got this cutting machine and stuff like that. But let's take a look. So the lathe, this is the first one. The way these things work is they're actually multi-blocks, and I guess there is a little bit of I want to say customization to these, and it kind of comes forth out of this Holo-Projector. So the Holo-Projector isn't really complicated to make. The reward here, these 8 machine structures. Pick that up. Let's take a look here. Where is that guy? I can't see it. Am I blind? Most likely. So optical sensors, these aren't that complicated to make. So just make this thing. Oh, it's actually part of Volp's library. But anyway, craft yourself one of these. Pick up those free machine casings. So the way this thing works is, if you've got this in your hand, if you shift right click, you get some options here for machines. This looked kind of odd to me at first until I actually grabbed outside here. You can drag this stuff up here, and it gives you a whole bunch of stuff you can take a look at. Later on towards the tier, you're going to have to build this stuff. So the lathe is pretty simple. The way this works, I'll select it, and you can see here at the tooltip that the lathe is there. So you need a lathe, create a power input plug or power input plug, a motor, an input hatch, a couple machine structures, and an output hatch. So the way this works is, you can see it here, it looks way different from when you build it, but once you actually hit, say, the lathe component, you right click it and it'll show up. But the way this Holo-Projector works is that you pick a spot here and then right click, and it builds partial structure. Now this is handy, but you're going to notice that it's missing some parts, right? So if you press shift and mouse wheel up, it brings you to the next level, and then once you're at the last tier, it'll show you the entire structure. This is kind of handy because the blocks actually come out. So if you're trying to build the input hatch and click it in this spot, this output hatch here, this hologram, will keep this input hatch right where you put it. So this is kind of handy. It shows you what it is when you kind of mouse over it. And they're super simple to make this way. And then just left click, it'll blow them out of there. You don't have to worry about it. One of the ones that was real pain in the ass to make was that stupid ass electric arc furnace. It's so big, and once you kind of get through this, because you can customize this depending on what the materials are that you have, you're able to move these inputs around. So whatever it says here, like it's an input hatch now, whatever it is, you can see that some of this stuff, it's interchangeable. Now here's the whole block layout, which you might be thinking, yeah, okay, this looks great, but you're gonna have to decide where to put this shit. And there is, get that shit out of there. Yeah, whatever. There, because I don't want to look at it. Let's go take a look at what I got built for this arc furnace over here. So this is the way I've got this set up. These lower tiers, nothing down here. So we've got input, the electric arc furnace, the actual controller port, and then the output hatch. Up on top here, this is the way I have this set up. So this isn't complicated to make. It's kind of a big clunky box multi-block to do something that's relatively simple. I'm not doing anything in here. I put sand in and it puts silicone out the back. So keep in mind that's kind of an ugly one to make. Let's go over a couple more of these basic machines. So what I did is I kind of just went down the list here. So we've got the lathe, arc furnace, this is the crystallizer, cutting machine, precision assembler. We've done the electrolyzer, and then the other cool thing over there is rocket fuel. So like I said, once you get the structures built, right click these guys, it'll bring this up. So here's the input hatch, throw shit in the top, it craps it out the output hatch, whatever, wherever you got it. This one you really can't customize all that much. The crystallizer, this thing, it kind of does its business. You just, if you were to put, you know, silicone and a silicone, you know, in here, it would start making wafers, and then it would put it out of the output hatch. These are kind of expensive. I shouldn't say that. None of this stuff is expensive. We'll take a look at the recipes in a second here. So here's the cutting machine. These aren't all that complicated. I think the most expensive part here is probably the motors. So here's the precision assembler. Put that stuff in there. You can kind of see what's going on here, but really the stuff goes inside there, comes out on the other side. No big deal. Got the rolling machine here. I haven't really done anything with this yet, just because I wanted to save that for another episode. I just kind of wanted to show off the very basic machines. Let's go take a look at one of these cool ones. You get out of here. So these are kind of cool. This is going to be the electrolyzer. So what this does is it takes water and it splits it up into, this is liquid oxygen and this is liquid hydrogen. Now the way I've got this set up, this one you don't get a whole lot of difference of, but again, I've got a sink hanging off the back of here, and that's providing the machine with water. So you've got this super high-tech machine with a sink hanging off the back, but it works. The rest of this more compact setup I have going here is these are just servos, fluid duct into a tank as a buffer. So you've got 16 buckets there, and then this is what 20 buckets, and then this has got an internal of another 16, so there's some there. You're going to notice on this machine, so this is the actual chemical reactor, this is what's making your rocket fuel. This is a little bit customizable too, not so much. The fluid output hatch is really what you're concerned with here. You can see there's only 60 millibuckets sitting in there of rocket fuel, but if you let this thing go, let's turn this on. Here's the on switch. This will kind of just do its thing. So as it goes, it just keeps pumping it up, doing its thing. I'm not quite sure how much rocket fuel this is going to take to actually get to where I needed. I didn't check, and I'm kind of going to leave it as a surprise. I guess I'll find out as things go. So, but anyway, this is a compact setup. You can see, why in the hell, why do you have so much flux duct hanging up there? I intend to put a second level on here to move some machines and do a little more automation. That was one of my points of going back through this, but this is the setup as is. So this is your basic advanced rocketry machines. Oops. So there's a whole bunch of other machines here we're going to have to get into. Probably break this down to a few different episodes. One other thing I wanted to go over. It does require a spacesuit. So if you take a look at this stuff, there's a whole bunch of add-ons you can put into this. I kind of just went over like the basic stuff. So I did make this stuff. This is all relatively cheap to make. I mean, you're looking at some wool, and some iron, some glass. None of this stuff is expensive to make. It's wool and iron. Some steel, not a whole lot. You don't really have to worry about this stuff too much. In order to get the suit workstation, so you put the stuff in here, and it gives you some options to do some input. So you get a few sets for modules put in there. We'll get to this some more once we actually need it. I just kind of wanted to show it a little bit. Gas charge pad, so this will charge up the tanks. You can see I've got one oxygen tank in there. That's a bonus. You get that for, I think it's one of these bad boys. Is it the gas charge pad? Yep. So you get a free tank of oxygen out of the deal, which is alright. So, there was one here, and this is the observatory. Is that what it's called? No, it's called a beacon. You create this beacon. If you read through here, it allows other players to see the planet without having to discover it, blah, blah, blah. I don't have anybody else I'm playing with, so I'm going to see if I can skip this. I'm just not going to do anything with it. So, let's take a real quick look at some of these recipes, because this mod pack... Yeah, what the hell? Does that not let you do that in this terminal? What the hell's up with that? Let's go over here. So let's take a look at a few of these recipes. If we are to say, let's say, what do we got here? Satellite builder, rocket monitoring, warp controller stuff. Got rail guns. Let's take a look at, here's the electrolyzer. So it looks like these things are complicated, right? The only thing complicated here is this basic circuit. This has got to do with the cutting machine. You should get one of these silicone bowls. Throw that in the cutting machine. It's going to get you some silicone wafers. That one's a freebie. And let's take a look at where that is. I think it's... Is it the cutting machine? No. Time to cook. So you get a freebie here. They hook you up. But anyway, in order to get this stuff, you actually have to do some work with it. Precision assembler, throw this stuff in there, it actually outputs a basic circuit plate. And then you can chop it up as you so please. But these other ones, they look complicated, they're really not. So the user interface, you're looking at lime dye, redstone, glowstone, and a pane of glass. And then these control circuit boards. Yeah, the diamond might be the most expensive thing here, and then some iron plates. So these machines all kind of end up like this for this really basic first tier of this mod pack. I figured they were going to be way more expensive, having to do with a whole bunch more silicone. They're not. Unless these recipes change, which I don't think they did. This is like the latest version of this server mod pack. So, but yeah, get these machines set up, get them ready to go. Get this Holo-Projector set up, even though it's kind of a pain in the ass to work with. Get these set, get them ready to go. The one challenge or issue you're going to face is that if you're following along with better questing, is that you can't even touch these until you have these upper tier ore miners. So tier 4, and I'm not sure why, and let's take a look just because I'm not sure why this is required of tier 4. Advanced rockets. I know you need this liquid fueled engine. Titanium plate and steel ingots. There must be something in there that requires it. I'm not quite sure what exactly it is. I bet it's got something to do with one of the weird gemstone like sapphire or something that you can't. I mean, you can find it while you're mining, but it's not something you can generate. So, but keep that in mind. Once you get to this point, I'm kind of stuck right now until I actually build up this tier 4 ore miner. Otherwise, I'm just kind of hanging out. I'm still sitting here with this Electrum jetpack or whatever, which is fine. Whatever, the resonant stuff. The only reason I haven't built it yet is because of the plate. The plate is the armor plating, I should say, is a little bit tougher to make. I'm pretty sure it requires a full filled out advanced machine casing in this industrial blast furnace, because right now it's only sitting at 3028. So 3K in heat, needs 3500 to make that go. So, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of Advanced Rocketry. we'll go over some more of this stuff as I get moving a little bit here. I'm gonna get that tier 4 stuff rolling and go from there. So until next time.